The 2026 BMW i4 might be one of the best-looking electric sedans on the road right now, but there's one problem nobody talks about until after they buy it. And for some owners, that issue alone could completely ruin the experience. Because the i4 is incredibly easy to love during a test drive. It's quick, it feels expensive, the interior looks modern without trying too hard, and unlike some EVs, it still feels like a real car instead of a rolling tech experiment. But living with it every day in America, that's a very different story. The 2026 BMW i4 matters because it sits right in the middle of the premium EV market between Tesla convenience and traditional luxury comfort. A lot of buyers want exactly that balance, especially people leaving gas-powered BMWs for their first EV. And honestly, BMW did a lot right here. The i4 drives better than most electric sedans. The steering still feels connected. The cabin insulation is excellent, and the power delivery is smooth instead of overly aggressive. But once the excitement fades, there are several ownership realities that buyers absolutely need to understand before signing papers. So, let's talk about the biggest problems with the 2026 BMW i4. And the first one is probably the most important. Problem number 1. Charging still feels worse than Tesla. This is the issue many owners underestimate. The BMW i4 itself is not bad at charging. The real problem is the charging experience in the United States. Public charging networks are still inconsistent depending on where you live. Some stations are broken, some are painfully slow, some are crowded, and sometimes you arrive with low battery only to discover multiple chargers offline. That becomes frustrating fast in a luxury car that costs this much. Tesla owners still have the easiest EV ownership experience in America because the supercharger network is more reliable and more predictable. BMW has improved compatibility and charging partnerships, but the experience still isn't as seamless. And if you live in an apartment, condo, or somewhere without reliable home charging, this could become a daily annoyance instead of a minor inconvenience. For commuters with home charging, the i4 makes more sense. For road trip heavy drivers, this is something you really need to think about. Problem number 2. The real-world range can disappoint. BMW's official range numbers look competitive on paper, but real-world driving tells a more complicated story. Cold weather absolutely affects EV range, and the i4 is no exception. Highway speeds drain battery faster than many buyers expect. Aggressive driving, which is tempting in a BMW, also cuts range noticeably. And because this is a luxury EV with larger wheels and performance-oriented tuning, efficiency is not its strongest trait. The M50 version especially can surprise owners with how quickly battery percentage drops during spirited driving. Some buyers enter EV ownership expecting the displayed range to behave like a gas tank estimate. It doesn't. And range anxiety becomes very real once battery levels dip below 20% while you're still searching for a working charger. That stress isn't talked about enough in luxury EV marketing. Now, is the i4 unusable? Not at all, but buyers switching from gasoline cars should prepare for lifestyle adjustments, especially if they regularly drive long distances across the US.
Problem number 3. Expensive out-of-warranty ownership. This is where skepticism starts becoming important. BMWs have never been famous for cheap, long-term ownership, and adding complex EV systems into the equation doesn't magically reduce repair anxiety. Right now, the i4 is still relatively new, so long-term reliability data remains limited. But luxury EV repairs are already expensive across the industry. Battery-related repairs, electronic modules, sensor systems, large touchscreen components, advanced driver assistance hardware. None of this is cheap once warranty coverage ends. And unlike simpler gas vehicles, many EV repairs require specialized technicians and certified service centers. That means labor costs can get ugly. Some buyers assume EVs automatically equal low maintenance forever. That's not entirely true. Yes, you avoid oil changes and some traditional maintenance items, but luxury EV ownership can still become financially painful outside warranty periods, especially for second or third owners buying used examples later. Problem number 4. The weight changes the BMW experience. This is something enthusiasts notice immediately. The i4 is fast, very fast, but it's also heavy, and sometimes that weight changes the character people expect from a BMW sports sedan. You feel it during aggressive cornering, you feel it during hard braking, and you especially notice it compared to lighter gas-powered BMW models from the past. The steering is good for an EV, but not magical. The car hides its weight impressively well until you really push it. Then physics takes over. Some longtime BMW fans walk into the i4 expecting the emotional connection of older 3 Series models. That's not really what this car is. It's more of a luxury performance EV than a pure driver's car. And depending on your expectations, that could either be completely acceptable or deeply disappointing.
Problem number 5. Depreciation could hurt. This is becoming a massive concern in the EV market. Electric vehicle values have been unpredictable lately. Price cuts across the industry, rapid battery improvements, and changing incentives have all affected resale values, and luxury EVs can depreciate brutally. The problem is simple. Technology evolves faster than traditional car generations. A 3-year-old EV can suddenly feel outdated once newer models offer better charging speed, better range, or newer software. That impacts used market demand. Some owners who paid premium prices for earlier EVs already experienced major resale losses, and nobody knows exactly how future EV depreciation will stabilize. Now, BMW branding helps somewhat, but buyers expecting strong long-term value retention should absolutely be cautious here, especially if financing with minimal down payment, because being upside down on a luxury EV loan is not a fun situation. So, after all these problems, should you actually buy the 2026 BMW i4? Honestly, for the right buyer, yes, the i4 is still one of the most complete luxury EVs currently available. The interior feels premium, the ride quality is excellent, the performance is impressive, and unlike many EVs, it still feels familiar enough for traditional luxury car buyers. But this car makes the most sense for a very specific type of owner. Someone with reliable home charging, someone who mostly drives locally or commutes predictably, someone leasing instead of planning ultra-long-term ownership, and someone who values comfort and refinement more than ultimate EV efficiency. But there are also people who should probably skip this car. If you road trip constantly, if you live somewhere with weak charging infrastructure, if you're worried about long-term repair costs, or if you expect old-school, lightweight BMW driving dynamics, you may end up regretting this purchase. The biggest thing to understand about the 2026 BMW i4 is this. It's not just buying a car, it's buying into the current reality of EV ownership in America. And depending on your lifestyle, that reality can either feel incredibly convenient or surprisingly frustrating. That's why test drives alone are dangerous, because the i4 feels amazing for 30 minutes. The harder question is whether it still feels amazing after 2 years of charging stops, software updates, battery management, and ownership costs. For some buyers, absolutely yes. For others, this could become the luxury EV they wish they skipped. And that's exactly why the 2026 BMW i4 deserves a serious reality check before you buy one. If you enjoy honest car reviews that talk about real ownership instead of marketing hype, subscribe and stick around. There are a lot more vehicles coming that buyers should probably research twice before signing anything.